happening, people? We are here. We are live. Happy Monday to everyone. Mondays are different when you're coming off of 3 points. I'm sure a lot of you lot can agree. Big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you are new here. It's the road to 7K and we ain't that far off. We're back with the daily dose of Mina 4:30 UK time every single day. And today we're actually going to reflect on the Brentford game, talk about that, talk about Manchester United's frontline trio, which I think is the more favourable one at the moment due to form in Garnacho, Rashford and Rasmus Hojlund. We're going to talk about some transfer talk because there is some talk that Manchester United is interested in Alphonso Davies, and there's also some talk that is expected that Antony will go out on loan in January. So Man United could be active in the January transfer window, definitely with some potential outgoings. Christian Eriksen is not expected to renew his contract, so he could be out of the door in the summer as well. And we talk about Erik ten Hag, patience, lifeline, Fenerbahce, all of that kind of stuff. So big up to everyone. Like I said, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you've just come through. What should we actually start with? Because you guys know the day after 3 points, that is when everything I'm watching, all the podcasts I'm listening to, it's a lot more positivity. And I like the fact that there's positivity in the air. But I don't think that Erik ten Hag is off the hook just yet. I don't think he's off the hook just yet. I think that with a favourable number of games over the next couple of weeks, this is possibly the best time that he has and Manchester United have to kind of save his job, if you want to call it that. I don't really think it's saving his job, but I know a lot of the mainstream media are referring to that. Manchester United are potentially still on the lookout for other managers, but I've spoken about this on stream last week about the pool of managers that's available right now and why I think Erik ten Hag will stay Manchester United manager for the rest of the season. I think unless it gets really bad to a point where Man United are literally in relegation, I do not see Ineos cutting the cord on Erik ten Hag's contract, and I don't see them parting ways. I think for until at least the end of the season, Erik ten Hag will be the Manchester United manager. Now, of course, alongside the Premier League, Manchester United have other competitions that they are in. We've got Leicester in a couple of weeks in the Carabao Cup or in the League Cup. And we also have Fenerbahce this week away from home. Now, whenever I think about just Man United under Erik ten Hag away from home in Europe, I get scared. I get nervous. Now, if you think about the last 12 months in Europe under Erik ten Hag, it's not been good. It's really not been good. So I'm very nervous going into this Fenerbahce game. I'm not going to lie. It's not because I think Fenerbahce is amazing, but I just feel like if there's any game where there's a moment that, you know, Jose Mourinho could pull something out of the bag, it's in a game like this where he's coming up against his former club. People like him, Amrabat, Fred, they might feel like they got something to prove. But if anybody has something to prove, it's Manchester United and Erik ten Hag. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, a run of favourable games, number one, but number two, this is the best time for Manchester United to gain momentum and gain some sort of form. And if I'm really going to buy into Manchester United's kind of philosophy this season and the style of play that Erik ten Hag is trying to get them to play, because let's not get it wrong, there is a style of play. I just think that it can be exploited and there's multiple weaknesses to it. But if fans are going to really buy into it and kind of feel optimistic going into games, then these are the kind of games Manchester United need to win. And not only win it, but I actually think it actually don't matter sometimes the manner in which they win. I genuinely feel like right now the most important thing for Manchester United is just 3 points, game in, game out. I don't care how you get it, just get the 3 points. Question, Minnow, why are people so obsessed with the style of play of Ten Hag and Manchester United? I guess people are obsessed because 3 years into a project, you would anticipate that, you know, there's identifiable ways of the team playing. You know, I think the most important thing with a style of play is that you can go into games expecting having expectations of the way the team's going to play. You can have expectations of the way that the team will play and build up. You can kind of have expectations with the way that the team might be out of possession. It allows you to have expectations. I think when you ain't got a style of play, it's very difficult as fans to have expectations of games because you don't know what you're going to get. And let's be honest, guys, going into every game, I always say it here on my channel, I can't predict results ahead of a game because I don't know what kind of Manchester United we're going to get under Erik ten Hag. I don't know if we're going to get a team that is sitting back, low block, counter attack. I don't know if we're going for a transitional style of football. I don't know if we're going for a high press, high line, etc., etc. You just don't know. So I think that's why people, or maybe that's why people can be obsessed with this idea of a style of play, but I do think having a style of play is one thing. Erik ten Hag as a manager, has a style of play, but I think it's the implementation or the player's ability to implement it. That is where the question marks kind of lie. Now, I'm going to speak about, let's actually start with the positives. I'm going to start with some positives, because I really do think that we are overlooking some positives over the last couple of weeks. Now, of course, Alejandro Garnacho got on the score sheet. I think there's this question mark as to in every game, who's going to start? Is it going to be Ahmad? Is it going to be Garnacho? Now, I think Ahmad and Garnacho are two very different players. I think they are two very different players. And the reason why I think, and this might be a hot take, but the reason why I think Garnacho is getting these starts over Amad Diallo is because Garnacho is a selfish player. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a way that if he's being selfish, he's going to get you a goal. He's going to keep shooting, and he's going to keep persisting. He's going to keep taking on his man. He's going to keep running at his fullback. He's going to keep making runs in behind. I always say this when I talk about Amad Diallo. I always mention that I wish Amad Diallo was a little bit more selfish in front of goal, because he's always trying to find the right type of pass. And sometimes you might lose that opening. You might lose that opportunity to kind of create something, whether it's a shot or a cross. He's always looking for the right thing. Garnacho over the weekend took so many shots. United had 22 shots on goal. I'm curious to know, at least I can count 8 or 7 that was Garnacho. And eventually he got his goal. And of course, it was a great finish. I'm not even going to, during the game, I watch Garnacho a lot, and I always say he has an unconvincing style of shooting. Sometimes I don't feel like he's getting his body behind it. Sometimes it might not look like he's putting enough power in behind it. He could have had more than one goal on the weekend, but let's not get this wrong, guys. Garnacho is Manchester United's, I think, if I'm not wrong, he's Manchester United's top goal scorer thus far in all competition. Now, this is a team that is not scoring drastically. We're not scoring 2-3 goals a game. And across all competitions, he is Manchester United's top goal scorer, as well as being joint second with the most assists. And I think a lot of those goals and assists he got, of course, we can say that some of it was against Barnsley in that 7-0 game, but equally so, some of those goals and assists came in games that he did not start. Now, that might kind of beg the question, is he a better bench player, i.e. a player coming off the bench and impacting the game in comparison to maybe starting? I think there's always kind of room for that debate, but he's creating. And that's the most important thing I think that Manchester United need right now. So on the weekend, when Man United go away, I think it's to West Ham. Obviously, we got Fenerbahce before that, but I'm looking at the Premier League game and I'm thinking, if Garnacho starts, I wouldn't be surprised, because Erik ten Hag is going to look at the players that are giving him something tangible right now in games, which is goals or assists. People always wonder, how does Bruno Fernandes keep kind of playing, even though he's not been the best this season? Bruno Fernandes, despite not being Manchester United's best player this season, has the most assists. So Erik ten Hag is going to persist with the people that are giving him something tangible to work with. And that's another example of why I think Christian Eriksen has been playing game in, game out. He's had, I think, a consistent run of games of like 5 or 6 games in the starting lineup. For a guy that wasn't really playing that much last season, unless Manchester United had an injury crisis. So with Garnacho, I think he's in good form right now. I would like to see him continue playing. But sometimes I do also, similar to other people, I have the question of whether he starts better off the bench, whether he plays better, as a starter or coming off the bench. And another guy who's actually kind of changed, I would say kind of changed his style this season is Marcus Rashford. Now, you guys know I've been heavily critical of the positioning that Marcus Rashford is starting in game or during games. Against Brentford, I think that was one of his better performances that we've definitely seen outside of a game where he's scoring goals. I feel like he impacted the game outside of putting the ball in the back of the net. And that is what you want sometimes from your players. If they're not scoring, impact the game in other ways. He could have had more than one assist, in my opinion, but he did also create that chance for Alejandro Garnacho to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, equally just like him, and this is why I always say you can't drop players that give you something tangible in games. Marcus Rashford is Man United's second top goal scorer in all comps with 4 goals. It's a humble 4, but it's something. it is something that he can actually build on. And he's also similar to Garnacho, same number of assists, 3 assists in all competition. I think it's him, Eriksen, and Garnacho that all have 3 assists. This front line that Erik ten Hag kind of has right now is the front line that is giving you something tangible. Unfortunately, when Joshua Zirkzee and Amad Diallo and Rashford were playing, let's be honest, guys, that starting 11, that front line, was not giving you anything. And I actually think, and this is another hot take, I actually think Amad might leave. I don't know if he wants to be second fiddle to Garnacho, but I think he might leave. But you look at what, I guess the reason why I think Garnacho, Hojlund, and Rashford kind of work together is because they're not too similar, each one of them. I think the biggest standout for me in the Brentford game in particular, Rasmus Hojlund is Man United starter. He has to be Manchester United starter. Joshua Zirkzee, for me, unfortunately, he's not a number 9 that's going to put the ball in the back of the net. And I said this when we brought him, when we were linked to him. I said I wouldn't go for a Joshua Zirkzee as a 9 because as a number 9, you want your number 9 to find the back of your net, find the back of the opponent's net. You want the number 9 to put the ball in the back of the net. It's as simple as that. Everything else that your striker might offer is a benefit. Everything else that your striker might offer, and the dropping deep, the passing, the link up, the spacing, etc., that's all benefits. That's all pluses. But the core part of your striker, of your number 9 in particular, is to get you goals. And Rasmus Hojlund is going to be the guy that gets Manchester United the goals. Joshua Zirkzee is not going to do that. And Joshua Zirkzee equally saying that he's not going to displace Bruno Fernandes from his position right now. He's not going to do that. So for now, I actually see Joshua Zirkzee being the 80 minutes, 70 minutes, come off the bench, get some legs in there, maybe some rotation, League Cup, etc. UEFA, I was going to say UEFA Champions League, Europa League, etc. I think that's the games that he might start. Now, in particular, when I talk about Hojlund and just off of the back of this weekend, but even since he's come back from injury, I feel like Manchester United are more able to they're able to press better, and the press also looks a lot more it looks a lot more tighter and it looks a lot more united. Number one. Number two, I think Man United are able to stretch opponent backlines a lot better with Rasmus Hojlund as a number 9 in comparison to what Joshua Zirkzee was doing. Now, if you think back to the big games, the Spurs game, the Liverpool games, etc., where we had Zirkzee starting up top, think about how little the opponent's centre-backs might have had to do. Now, I can think about Liverpool in particular. Van Dijk and Konate could have had a picnic in their own half because Joshua Zirkzee gave them nothing to do. And unfortunately, that's just not the type of player that he is. And you go into, when we look at Arsenal and City and teams that have solid centre-back duos, you need someone. He might not get the better of the centre-backs per se, but someone that at least is going to cause some sort of disruption. And Hojlund spoke about it after the game, where he said, I've been working less on wrestling. He's so funny. He said, I've been working less on wrestling with defenders and trying to just play with the ball at my feet. And I think that's the most important thing. I said it on stream after the game. This is his sophomore year. This is his second year at Manchester United. He needs to kind of get rid of the mistakes from his first year and kind of be able to build on the building blocks that he had last season. Because in his first year, scoring 15, 16 goals in all comps, that's not bad. That's not bad, given the fact that he only got his first goal in the Premier League in Boxing Day, I think it was. So we know that he can score. We also know that he can create moments for himself to score. He doesn't necessarily need a creator making those moments for him. Now he's moving away from this fighting and wrestling. And I remember last season, people were calling him a sumo wrestler. People were calling him a WWE wrestler. People were saying this guy is here for MMA and to fight. But now even he knows, and I think maybe working with Ruud van Nistelrooy has really helped that. But he's moving away from that and moving away more to simply playing football. And I genuinely, guys, this is not even me having a hot take or me saying something wild. I just genuinely think that this season will be a season for Rasmus Hojlund because the talent is there. The talent is there. The ability is there. It's just kind of building on that, and maybe a couple of seasons from now we might look back at the fact that Man United passed up on Kane and went for Rasmus Hojlund, and we can maybe still regret it, or maybe we might start to understand it a little bit more. Now, of course, he doesn't have a lot of goals. He's only got 2 goals, but that, funnily enough, makes him Manchester United's 4th top goal scorer. Him having 2 goals makes him Manchester United's 4th top goal scorer, and that's actually in less minutes than what Joshua Zirkzee has. I mean, Joshua Zirkzee hasn't scored since the opening weekend of the Premier League against Fulham, and he got that winner. He has not scored since then, and actually, I can even go on to say he's probably missed a heap of chances that I think a player like Hojlund might have been more likely that Hojlund would bury those chances. So just off of this weekend, because someone said Garnacho, Rashford, Hojlund are moment players. The hype right now over one game is crazy. This was the front three last season. Where was the hype then? I don't think it's hype. I don't want to say it's their moments players. I think the biggest telling point for me is that Marcus Rashford is playing in a different kind of role over the last couple games for sure. I've been questioning the deeper starts that he's been having. I don't know if you guys realize it, but he's starting a lot more deeper, and playing out on the right has never really been his strong suit, but it worked. What's this about Malacia not back till next season? What? I haven't seen anything. If you can link me to the news, I haven't really seen anything. Let me go online quickly and type in Malacia. From what I knew, he was meant to be back maybe after the next international break. I think the next international break is in November. I think the next international break is in November, but I haven't seen anything. I ain't seen nothing about it. I've seen Harry Amas is included in the match day squad, which is a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. I think if Zirkzee is instructed to run the channels more and use his 6-4 structure more for crosses into the box, I think he'll be better for us than Rasmus. Won't take long before Rashford is unhappy. Play anywhere but on the left side. I mean, he didn't play on the left side and he got an assist. I personally just want Rashford to keep at it when it comes to trying to find the ball in the back of the net. Not because I have a bet with some people on the channel, and not a bet. Let me not call it a bet because I don't bet. But remember, if you lot remember, I did say I think Rashford would score 20 plus in all comps. Somewhat, and quite a few of you guys said, there's quite a few people, I got clips that said, oh, I'll send in a £100, £200 super chat if he scores 25 in all comps. So yes, I want him to score 25 in all comps. But equally so, I think if Erik ten Hag and Man United's coaching staff, I think they're trying to move him less away from being an inside forward. And I think they're trying to turn him into a bit of a creative forward, because they want him and Garnacho to be able to create on the wings. And another part of that is because Garnacho is able to get assists, as he's shown so far this season. Marcus Rashford, guys, you lot might not rate him. I know a lot of people don't rate him, but let's be honest. This guy, Marcus Rashford, is only of 4 Manchester United players to have 80 plus goals and 40 plus assists in the Premier League. Like, I don't know how you can't respect that. Put aside as well other things that he's done, like his goal record against top 6, etc., etc. Like, I think maybe you appreciate Marcus Rashford more once he's gone. And it's unfortunate for him because he has this kind of cloud. He has this cloud of stuff that follow him, whether it's media, whether it's his brother. He's always got something following him. But if he just keeps his head down and plays football, I don't think there's no telling what he could do for Manchester United, if I'm being honest. I think similar to Bruno, when Manchester United have sucked, everybody has sucked. Like, it's just unfortunate. And sometimes I don't know what it is with Manchester United, but when one has sucked, the other has sucked. And I would like for, in an ideal world, oh man, it was fake news. Okay, it's all right. But I would like, in an ideal world, when Man United are bad, for maybe 1 or 2 players to be good. But we don't live in an ideal world. Kay says you can't rule out Jay-Z or Joshua Zirkzee. He's a good option in certain games. Against Palace, Hojlund couldn't do what Jay-Z did when he came on, so the coach has to decide tactically. I agree. I actually said quite a few times I would like to see Hojlund and Zirkzee to play together in a game. I said I would like that. And I'm very curious to see how that would work, because Hojlund, I think, has played as a second striker before. Not a lot, but he's played in the past before he joined United as a second striker a few times. I want to see what they would, because they're two different profiles of players. They are two different types of players. And again, like Katie said, it does depend on the opponent. Hey, Mina, did you come to Singapore when you were in Malaysia? No, I didn't. I didn't come to Singapore. I should have. I didn't realize how close Singapore and Malaysia was. But next time when I go to Japan, I'll go there. Mina, 80 goals assists. It's not 80 goals assists. It's 80 goals, 80 plus goals and 40 plus assists, which means that's more than 120 goal involvements across 9 seasons. Given the fact that he wasn't really, how long until Marcus Rashford was actually a starter, a regular starter at Manchester United? How long? I want to know what you lot think. And I want to know what you guys think about Christian Eriksen, because Fabrizio reported today that there's no contract talks ongoing between Manchester United and Christian Eriksen currently over a new contract. As it stands, he is going to leave as a free agent next summer. Now, you look at Man United's midfield options, and in particular, you look at what the balance that Joshua's you lot are making me think about Joshua Zirkzee. The balance that Christian Eriksen adds in midfield when he plays alongside a Casemiro, etc. Now, outside of Christian Eriksen, Manchester United don't really have anybody that can take care of the ball in that central midfield part. They don't really have anybody else. Casemiro is not of the ilk of what Christian Eriksen is. Ugarte isn't. I think Kobbie Mainoo is good on the ball, but I need Kobbie Mainoo as far away from the back line as possible. Honestly, Erik ten Hag, please play Kobbie as far as possible. Now, I think with Christian Eriksen, he probably still thinks he can play at a high level, regular football. I think he might actually go back to go play in the Netherlands, or maybe go back and play in Italy. I would like to keep him, but I think it depends on the expense, the price. Like Manchester United passed up on midfielders like João Neves, who now, by the way, he's got the most assists in the French league, but they passed up on technical players to sign a player like Ugarte. Now, I already have my opinion on Manuel Ugarte. A lot of you guys know my opinion. I'm not going to get onto him too much because he's not a guy that's playing regularly or starting regularly. And I don't think Erik ten Hag is a fan of him. But I'll be sad to see Christian Eriksen go, not because I think he can play regularly, but I think he's a good option to have. I think he's a good option to have in games where you need a little bit more control in the midfield. In the games where you need a tempo setter deeper. Now, the only thing I can see happening is Christian Eriksen leaving, and I guess Bruno slowly kind of regressing in the starting 11 into a more deeper position. I could see that happening as well. But Bruno and Christian Eriksen, they're not remotely the same. And I think Christian Eriksen is second most assists as well. I think him, let me double check. What? This is it. I didn't realize Christian Eriksen got 3 goals this season. Christian Eriksen has 3 goals this season and 3 assists. He's got 6 goal contributions in a season, obviously, where Manchester United aren't really scoring. Not really scoring. Do you think we weren't still open against Brentford? For me, they still played through our press easily. We half press most of the times and get beaten easily. It wasn't obvious because we won the game. You know what? It's funny you bring that up, because I was just shocked. There's a guy on Twitter called Danish Iqbal, who always posts like analysis stuff, and it's always helpful to see this kind of stuff, like the still screens, because I don't always take screenshots of the game during the game, especially when it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, because the quality is crap. But this is an example of Manchester United's press against Brentford. You got the 4-4-2 that Manchester United are pressing in, or 4-2-4 if you want to say that. And Brentford in the first half were able to kind of play out of it quite often. And I agree with Katie, because it's not just against Brentford. We've seen this other teams. Crystal Palace were able to do it for some passages of the game. Liverpool, Spurs, everybody's been able to do it, even in Europa League, Porto, FC20, etc. I think, and I don't like to, because some people try to say with Mason Mount, United are better in the press. I don't think your press is reliant on one player. I don't think that I don't ever think that's really the case. And I don't think that's the case in this game. I think people weren't happy with my post-game video because I said that I just thought Brentford were poor in the second half. And people said, well, when United win, you say that the opponent's poor, and when United lose, you say the opponent's good. If you guys genuinely think that Brentford were of the level that they were in the first half, any team, that's better than Brentford would have punished Manchester United in the first half. They would have. But Brentford, similar to other teams that we've played this season that we haven't dropped points to, have not been clinical. They weren't clinical against Manchester United. But in the first half, Thomas Frank had Erik ten Hag's number. Like he knew what Erik ten Hag was going to do in the first half. And I don't know what happened in the second half. But from the get-go in the second half, it's like a completely different starting 11 came out. I don't know. Did Erik ten Hag, what did he beat them up? I don't know. But it's completely different. It's like the players came out with a bit more urge and a bit more fight and a little bit more oomph in there. They had a bit more to show in their game in the second half. And that's what won them the game. They were a lot more consistent with their press. They were better in possession. They were creating chances. Even that Hojlund chance came from a press. That's how it came. And when Bruno Fernandes does those kind of trickeries and those back heels in that final third, when it pays off, I don't mind. But my issue a lot of the time is that Bruno Fernandes will do that in the middle of the pitch. He'll do it in Manchester United's final third. He will make a risky pass that he shouldn't make. And the opponent will end up maybe capitalizing off it, maybe creating a chance, getting a shot on goal, getting a set piece, getting something from it. But that assist that he gave to Hojlund, if you are able to pull it off every week, do it. But we know that's not necessarily the case. We're still shit. We just have match winners who can give us odd moments. Nothing is consistent with us. I guess that's what I was kind of getting to at the beginning of the stream, where I was saying this favorable run of games, because they are labeling this run of games for Erik ten Hag as favorable ones. I don't think it's that favorable. I think it might be a little bit slightly more difficult. But if it is deemed as favorable, these are the games Manchester United need to win, and they need to win it convincingly. Yes, there's the notion that 3 points is 3 points, but you need to be able to build that consistency and get those 3 points on a regular basis. If you're not able to do that, and you're getting 3 points here, 1 point here, dropping 3 points here, it's difficult to buy into. It's really difficult. And I wouldn't go as far to say that we have match winners that just create a moment of magic and are able to, bam, get a goal or get an assist or create something out of nothing. I don't think that's always necessarily the case. But I look at the disparity between the first half and the second half, and I can only kind of question what the hell changed at halftime for players to suddenly come out and want it a bit more and, you know, be able to put their chances away. Because let's be honest, Manchester United, guys, Manchester United, they are not scoring at a rate of which other teams are. At some point during the Southampton game, during the Brentford game, Manchester United had the least number of goals in the Premier League. I mean, I think they're still in and around the bottom part, but those 2 goals slightly helped. And the goal difference is not helping any more than that. Big up to OJ, big up Star-Lord, big up Steffi as well. Do you think Bruno is trying too hard because the team is so bad, so he's trying to overcompensate? That's a good question. I actually think Bruno is playing in a manner of frustration, more so with himself than the team. Because, guys, Bruno Fernandes, we are in October, right? Bruno Fernandes ain't even scored yet. Bruno has not scored a goal yet. And you can see the elements of frustration in his gameplay quite often, especially when United go down. Because I remember on the weekend, there was a corner United had, came back out to Bruno, and on the volley, he just walloped it into the crowd. And that is someone who's thinking, I'm a captain, my team's 1-0 down, I'm going to try to score. But those are the kind of moments that could actually hurt your team more than actually benefit them. And a lot of the time, I see Bruno doing stuff, and I'm thinking it must be from frustration, because he's a guy that's used to scoring goals. He's a guy used to creating assists. Again, 5 assists in all competitions. United's top creator so far. But it's the fact that he's not scoring goals, which I think is what is causing this frustration in him. And I kind of understand that, but equally so, you shouldn't try to be a detriment to your team to boost yourself a little bit. Big up to Uthman, says, big up Minna, has this win gassed you personally? I really needed that dopamine, but I see a lot of revision on the starters and why they are the best. Like, we aren't good. We're like, we ain't in minus goal difference at 11th. I wouldn't say Man United's back. I wouldn't say United's back, but it feels better. Guys, doesn't Mondays feel better when your team got 3 points? Like, does it not feel better? I don't have to watch emergency streams from Saeed. I don't have to watch emergency meetings on other platforms. I don't have to listen to people having breakdowns on YouTube, etc., about Man United dropping points. It just feels good for once to wake up on a Monday, get out of bed and stretch like they do in the movies and the cartoons, and you're happy because United got 3 points on the weekend. It's as simple as that. And also, it's the fact that Man United don't tend to do good after international break. I'm just happy that they actually won this weekend. Now, for me, the true test is how United persist throughout the week, because Fenerbahce on Thursday and then West Ham on Sunday. That's not easy. And then I think we got Leicester midweek next week. And then we got, I don't even know who's after. I just know that Man United have a run of games that some people might deem as favourable, but for me, it's do or die. And that's why the title of the video, the thumbnail says Ten Hag Lifeline, because that Brentford game is the best. Getting a win against Brentford is possibly the best thing that could have happened to Erik Ten Hag in a manner. And what I mean by that is, had Man United lost, going into Thursday, oh my God, it would have been unbelievable. The fact that Man United are playing Fenerbahce away, after what happened the last time we played a Turkish team. Man United don't do good against Turkish teams. That's the first point. But the second point is the fact that United are playing Jose. So had Erik Ten Hag lost and Man United lost on Saturday, everyone would have been like, oh my God, Jose is going to get him sacked. It's going to be redemption time. Bro, there would have been so many narratives flying around that probably would have put a lot more pressure on Manchester United than what's necessary. But the fact that United had been able to win, get 2 goals, albeit they didn't keep a clean sheet, but they managed to get 2 goals. They can go into the game on Thursday a lot more comfortable and maybe a little bit more confident than maybe how they were feeling a couple of weeks ago. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but Erik Ten Hag, I think he was at like the Football Writers Association award show or something like that. And he's on stage laughing, talking about, saying to a journalist, basically, do you want to swap? You go manage United for the week, go to Fenerbahce, and I'll do your job. But like, he's bantering, he looks happy. If United lost on the weekend, people would have been like, how dare he be at an award show straight after, after losing. Like, the narrative would have been completely different. So I'm not convinced with Man United so far this season, and this 3 points ain't going to pull the wool over my eyes, but it just feels good for once to be able to wake up on a Monday after 3 points, given the fact that a lot of other people dropped 3 points. Arsenal dropped 3 points. I'm in no place to laugh at Arsenal, but Arsenal dropped 3 points. Chelsea lost, obviously, to Liverpool. Everybody else in and around Spurs, etc., won. It just feels better. Bruno is playing panic ball and trying to force it too much. He needs to relax a little bit. Too many Hollywood passes that ain't working. I hear that. I hear it, but it was 2 moments that won us the game. Eriksen missed an easy chance. The bar is in hell. So any little improvement looks like big marginal gains. I don't think it's big marginal gains. I think the only time I start to see big marginal gains for Manchester United is when you're creating 22 chances or getting 22 shots on goal. Half of that is on target and you're scoring 4. You're scoring 5. That's when I will start to look at stuff and be like, you know what? Marginal gains. Because that's where that I think is where the improvements lie. For far too long, Manchester United have been this team that we're talking about XG. Do you know how sad it is that we've gone from talking about scoring 70 plus goals in the league to XG? For me, I look at XG and I call that the could have been stat, because it's the number of goals you could have scored had you put your chances away. I hate this XG nonsense, and now there's even new stuff talking about like expected points and all this kind of nonsense. Don't do that. let's look at the games for what they are at face value, and let's use stats not to change our opinion but to improve our opinion. Do you think Erik ten Hag approach to United is based off how previous managers have failed at United? In other words, if you gave Erik ten Hag the Liverpool job, would you get the same Erik ten Hag? I think you would. I think you would get the same Erik ten Hag. I don't know if the results would be the same because I think the caliber of players that they have is different. But if Erik ten Hag, say Erik ten Hag went to Liverpool today and he has Mohamed Salah putting in a grave shift more deeper, do you think you would still get the same Mohamed Salah? I think so, because I think Mohamed Salah is a phenomenal player. So I think you could put him in any position and demand any change in his style of play, and I still think he would be able to deliver. Now, if he went and had, I don't know, Darwin Núñez doing, actually striker's not a good example. If he had Szoboszlai leading the press alongside the striker, would you get the same result? I'm not too sure. Like, I think it's kind of different. I think it's difficult because of the caliber of players in kind of both teams. I think that's really different. And equally so, Erik ten Hag has shown his ability to adjust. I think that's the most important thing. We know Erik ten Hag can adjust. He just sometimes chooses not to. And I actually think his biggest issue, what I see as his issue, is whatever he's familiar with that gets him something, he will persist with it. Even in moments or games where it's clearly not working, he will continue to persist with it. Apart from the top 5-6 teams, if we compare our players with other Premier League teams, we have better players individually. So that's where I blame Erik ten Hag for our poor performance and results. I don't know how anyone can argue, guys, that Manchester United have good players. This notion that the players are downing tools and the players are crap, I just don't understand it. Like, I think, and that's why I say, when I look at performances that are poor, I look at the players, but equally so I look at the manager, because the manager is responsible for getting a tune out of the players. The manager is responsible for hooking a player if they're playing crap. The manager is responsible for the setup of the team. So if you know that your midfielder might not gain or flourish from playing alone, and you're getting the other two midfielders to press like dogs, you've just set your midfielder up to fail, because he's going to be caught out in no man's land every single time by the opponent. So again, I don't buy this idea that Manchester United have a crap team. And also, that's why I kind of move away from doing like combined 11s when it comes to like match previews, because I don't think combined 11s even kind of grasp the full concept of what Manchester United have in terms of starting 11. Like today, for example, we got Chelsea in a couple of weeks. Yeah, we got Chelsea next weekend, guys. Yeah, if we do a starting 11, a combined 11 of Chelsea players, because of form right now, everybody's going to go with more favorable Chelsea players. But you can't be there and argue to me that Marcus Rashford shouldn't be in it, or Garnacho, for example, wouldn't have a shout in the right-hand side for Chelsea. That's because I class Cole Palmer as a 10. So again, you can't look at me and be like, yeah, Fofana should be this starting centre-back, or Colwell. I think that's why I say, like, with combined 11s, it's difficult, because it's always, is it based on, some people base it on form, on current form. Some people base it on just the player. And some people just say, oh, well, that player, Jadon Sancho, is better than Garnacho, so he will be the starter. But you got to look at the form and the season. So I don't buy this thing that United are crap and United players are crap. Down in tools is an excuse top Reds use as a passion deflection for their lack of tactical acumen. Do people really down tools though? That's the question. Do players actually regularly down tools? Minna, he's staying for the season. Ineos are moving to their own tune and getting their ducks in order. The only way he gets sacked is a poor showing in Europa League, because they need Champions League money. I actually agree with this part. I actually can see Manchester United execs demanding that if United finish out the top 4, the only way that you can save yourself is if you win Europa League. And you look at Europa League, there's some decent teams in Europa League, guys, by the way. There's some decent teams. The only thing that helps Man United is the fact that no one from Champions League is dropping down. So if we go off of paper, Manchester United on paper should have breezed through the Europa League, but they haven't. They got 2 points on the board. 2 points after 3 games is a joke. It's a joke. So the only, and I've said this again, the only way I see Erik ten Hag getting sacked is if Man United are 15th, 16th throughout most of the season, and there's no Champions League football on the horizon. That's it. United could crash out of the FA Cup today. They could crash out of the Carabao Cup. I don't think Man United execs care. I don't, because they can just turn around and be like, guys, by next season, they can turn around and be like, we've only been here for 12 months. Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada haven't even been here for a year. How can we make this and do that and blah, blah, blah? And they haven't been in the role long enough to assess it. Financially, another thing that Ineos want to say is about getting things in order financially for FFP purposes. So that is all kind of, I don't want to say excuses, but if it gets bad, guys, over the next couple months, please, I just don't see a sacking on the horizon. Because if I'm being honest, I think if United were serious, they would have sacked him in this international break. But they haven't. They haven't. It's like, you know, when you keep giving someone a lifeline and you keep giving someone a chance. That is what Ineos are doing with him. So also Ineos can save themselves and be like, you know what? At the end of the season, they could turn around and say, we backed him. We backed him. We invested in the summer transfer window. After a poor run of games, we kept him. We kept him. And Erik ten Hag, can I say, yeah, has always persisted with this notion of judge me after the season. He's a guy that knows he's staying. He is a guy that knows he's staying in his job. Because every time he speaks to the media and he speaks about, you know, the goals, of course, he always talks about his trophies that he loves so much and that he won at United. But he's always saying, judge me after the season has ended, which is a man that knows he will be in the job for the season, unless it gets really bad. Unless it gets really bad. Goals conceded in the Premier League this season: Arsenal 8, Man United and City 9, Chelsea 10. We are horrendous and still around there. I think what's his name is Onana has the most clean sheets as well in the league. I think. I don't think we even make it out of this stupid table / group stage BS. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what the table actually looks like in Europa League right now. Because I don't look at the Europa League table at this point because I think there's no point because it's still early. And where are we? We're 21st. We are 21st, which means if we stay in and around there, we'll just about make it through because it's 24 teams make it through. Nice are nowhere to be seen. They're 30th. Aren't they owned by Ineos as well? Where's Fenerbahce? Let's see where Fenerbahce are. They're 13th. At least they won a game in Europa League so far. The only people that have won all their games is Anderlecht, Tottenham, Lyon, and Lazio. I don't think Ineos want to act on impulse. They know it's bad, but I think they want to do their due diligence and make sure they do things the right way. And that actually leads us to the next part of this stream that I need to wrap up soon. This is a name that has stuck around, guys. Ruben Amorim. Manchester United are interested in him and have already made inquiries. United still trust Erik ten Hag, but want to be prepared. And Amorim is not planning a move in the winter. And this is why I've always said over the last couple of weeks that Manchester United sticking with Erik ten Hag doesn't necessarily mean that they want to keep him, but it could suggest that the guy that they want is just not available yet. And then when you look at the pool of managers available, guys, the pool is looking a bit dehydrated. I can't lie. It's looking slightly dehydrated. No Thomas Tuchel. I think De Zerbi will be a madman to leave Marseille and come to United after one season. Nagelsmann is not leaving that Germany job until probably after the World Cup. Hansi Flick, I think Xavi is unemployed. Xabi Alonso ain't leaving by Leverkusen, not for Manchester United. Inzaghi is not joining Manchester United. So you're telling me that the only other managers that United could be linked to is people like Thomas Frank? Like, no disrespect to Thomas Frank, guys, but who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? What kind of manager do you think Man United should try replace Erik ten Hag with if they were to replace him at the end of the season, for example? I don't think you should solely look at playing style. I think now Erik ten Hag has opened my eyes up to so many other things that you should look at when you're considering a manager. And playing style or philosophy is not the only thing. Now, another guy that we've been linked to is Sebastian Hoeneß. That's another guy that we've been linked to. But I think the news or the links to Ruben Amorim, I think is concrete. I mean, he was interviewing for the West Ham job, I think it was was it the West Ham job where he snubbed Liverpool to fly in and have meetings behind Liverpool's back, and then they just went and offered Arne Slot the role. The only way I see Man United getting a new manager, it has to be at the end of the season. It has to be at the end of the season, because none of the managers that United are even linked to, I think, will leave mid-season to come to United, because I think it's really difficult as a manager to come in mid-season and make an impact, because people will always judge you based on what you do in those opening months. Whereas if you come in at the end of the season, you've got at least time to plan out your transfer window with the executives. You've got your time to kind of build your relationships with your players. You've got time to go on preseason and do all of that stuff. You have the time, you have the ability to do all of that. Simeone end of the season might be a thing. I don't know. Simeone, imagine Simeone at Manchester United or in the Premier League. I made peace with it. They want to back and give him a chance, so he and Top Reds can't make any excuse when it inevitably flops. The guy they want is Gareth Southgate. He's unavailable at the moment. Will be available in the summer. I've kind of moved away from the Southgate stuff, guys. I don't know if you guys remember, but months ago, when Ineos were coming in, and I was saying Southgate is the guy that they want, and people were labeling me as crazy, by the way. People were labeling me as crazy, but I've kind of moved away from that Southgate thing, just because I don't think the only way that I see Southgate coming to United is if Southgate tries to, if Ineos tries to sell this idea of an English manager for the biggest English club owned by an Englishman. I think that's the only way I can see it happening, because there's no way anyone else can kind of sell that idea. Now, big up to Ridwan for letting me know in the chat. Florian Plettenberg just posted this as we're talking about managers. Bayer Leverkusen are preparing for Xabi Alonso's departure next summer. Alonso is a candidate at Real Madrid. I said it, guys. I've been saying that he's going to go Real Madrid, and he's also a candidate for Manchester City, with Manchester City showing concrete interest, and preparing for the possibility that Pep Guardiola might leave. Liverpool are out of the race as they are happy with Arne Slot and his contract. Xabi Alonso's contract is until 2026. However, Leverkusen are already looking at a successor, with Sebastian Hoeneß, who we also mentioned, and Sandro Wagner being considered. So there we have it. Xabi Alonso to United. Didn't Ornstein say Southgate rumors are not true? Yeah, Ornstein played it down as well. That's why I generally don't see the Southgate to United thing happening. I thought about it a while ago, but now I don't really see it happening. Xabi Alonso to United, could that be a thing? No, but if he goes to Man City, guys, and we still have Erik ten Hag, United are fucked. Excuse my language, but we are pissed. We are actually pissed. I'm Erik ten Hag out. The only way he could change my mind is magically challenging for the title or top 4 with very consistent, strong performance, which won't happen. Minna, are you ten Hag in or ten Hag out? I'm ten Hag out. I've been ten Hag out, but I don't spew abuse or anything. I give him credit where it's due, and I criticize him when it's due. I can see him at Man City or Real Madrid. Honestly, guys, Real Madrid, if he goes to Real Madrid, that's fine. Out of sight, out of mind. If he comes to the Premier League, that's where I got a problem. But I do think, and I've said this from his first year at Leverkusen, I said the only way I see him leaving Leverkusen is if he goes to Real Madrid. And I think Ancelotti's contract finishes at the end of the season as well. And I also think it's quite telling. If he turned down Liverpool, where Liverpool act like he's a club legend, he turned down Liverpool off the back of a phenomenal season with Leverkusen. So yeah, I see Man City, but I think it has to be Real Madrid. Like, it's a story that's written. It's like Zidane. Like, you can't picture Zidane at any other club except for Real Madrid, right? I can't picture Xabi Alonso leaving Leverkusen to go to like somewhere like Man City when he's got a legacy already elsewhere. But it's interesting. Ten Hag scaremongers use the Southgate links to accept this job. No way Ineos look at Arteta, Slot, Pep, Ange and think the way forward is Southgate to compete in the near future. He's never going to compete. If we have Southgate, Man United will be Vibes FC. Like, I actually think that. I actually think Manchester United will become Vibes FC. I think it's between Amarim or the Stuttgart manager Hoeneß. I wouldn't mind the Girona coach Mikel, very underrated. Alonso ain't going to Bayern. They committed to his company. He got 2 years. That's true. Yeah, I don't see Bayern being a destination for him either. Southgate or Potter a good option. Bro, you want Ten Hag out, and you're saying Southgate and Potter are a good option. It's funny though, because the list of managers, let me just drag up the list of managers that Man United have been linked to, especially like during the international break. This was the list. During the international break, this was the list, and it was the odds. I don't know much about odds, guys, because I don't know about betting. So what does it mean? 5-2. Does that mean it's more likely, or is 20-1 good? Which one is the good one? Which one is the one that's saying that it's more likely? Is it 5-2 or 20-1? Because if I'm thinking about it, 5-2, 2 goes into 5 more times than I don't know. I think this means that Ruud van Nistelrooy was more likely to become Manchester United manager. But this is the pool that we're working with right now. Thomas Frank, Ruben Amorim, Graham Potter, Southgate, McKenna, Carrick, Van Nistelrooy. 5-2 is most likely. Okay, cool. And I think another name that's missing is Sebastian Hoeneß. That's a name that we've seen over the last couple of weeks that has popped up. But guys, this is a dehydrated list. This is a dehydrated list. Let's be for real. How did they sneak Carrick? Club legend. And also, that's why I've also said kind of this idea. Ratcliffe has, look, King of Mark just brings up what I was going to say. Ratcliffe has mentioned previously about having a British core at the club. Why I can't be surprised that Southgate links. I agree. I literally was saying that when Southgate, when Ineos was taking over, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's whole media PR prop to buy Manchester United was about make Manchester again, some nonsense like that, and talking about British players, bringing the best English talents and the best in class that are British. Oh, bringing in the Dave Brailsford, Dan Ashworth, people with experience in British football, English cause, all of that kind of stuff. Because of all of that, I've never been able to move away from the notion of Southgate, because Southgate would be the final piece of the puzzle for what Sir Jim Ratcliffe maybe wanted to front to everybody. But I think realism has to hit you in the face at some point, and I'm hoping that with everybody else it has. I'm hoping that the way that realism has slapped Arsenal in the face this weekend against Bournemouth, I'm hoping it's slapped Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the face and it's made him realize this Southgate thing, it's not plausible, it's not reasonable, it's not realistic. The only way, again, I can see it being a thing is if Southgate came to United and he had a role that he has at England. I don't know if you guys realize that England, and especially when like Dan Ashworth was there. Dan Ashworth was responsible for changing the culture of the England national team. They went from hating each other at England camp to everyone loving each other, doing TikToks together, having a working relationship despite club allegiances. I don't think Southgate was the tactical mastermind between whatever England were doing in the Euros and the World Cups, etc., etc. That's the only way I can see him coming in at United. But why would you spend all that money to bring him in as a manager if he's not going to do what his title says, which is to manage? You know what? The Southgate stuff might low-key be true, especially with how they've praised Southgate bringing together the England squad and creating a healthy work environment. Exactly. That's the thing that will get him a job. And really and truly, guys, look around at world football right now. There's no club, not even in Championship and League One, that's probably calling for a Southgate. The only way our Southgate probably got a nice payoff from the FA. I can imagine him going back to the FA to work in some capacity, maybe like what Dan Ashworth was doing, etc., where it comes with trying to fix the culture or enhance the culture. Because another example of how the FA kind of changed their narrative is they, St. George's Park. And I think this is why people were mad about this Thomas Tuchel thing. But I saw people kind of alluding to the idea that St. George's Park is the home of English football. It's also it's a centre for English excellence, coaches, footballers, academy players, etc. People playing for England across all age groups. Having that as the face of England, and then having Southgate as a manager makes sense. It makes sense. But at Manchester United, Manchester United is not a centre of excellence for English football. It's not, because you've just brought academy players that hail from other nations. It's all about creating an atmosphere for the best talents in world football. And talent in football doesn't have an ethnicity or a passport with it. It doesn't, unfortunately. So just because you're English and you're a coach doesn't mean you deserve the job of the biggest job in English football. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. We will be there when Gareth Southgate is at the dugout, which means I seek refuge from that. I hope God does not make that happen. But listen, big up to everyone. You guys know what it is. Have you guys hit the like button? It was Steve Holland, who did the tactical setup. Yeah, I know it was. Make sure you guys hit the like button. It really, really helps the algorithm, guys. The views are not viewing lately. The likes are not liking lately. As a small channel, YouTube doesn't do this thing. Where's this? I can never see that. There you go. YouTube does this thing, guys, where literally it doesn't help small creators. Anyone under 10k, it does not help. So the quicker I get to 10k, the better. But please, for the purpose of the algorithm, make sure you smash the like button. If you are new here, please do subscribe, because I'm trying to hit 7k by the end of the month. I got 10 or so days to get there, so I'm trying to hit 7k. So make sure you guys subscribe. If you are new here, don't go anywhere, because we are live Straight Jacket podcast on Saeed's channel. So make sure you come there. I don't know, Nordin's gonna tell me not to get giddy. Saeed's going to be Saeed, Musa's going to be Musa. So make sure you lot come over there. And then, yeah, as you lot can see, I will be playing. We're playing pro clubs on KG's channel. I think at 9:30, because I've got a lot of stuff to do, guys. I have to do a stream. I need to edit some clips. I need to make myself dinner, go to the gym, come back, pro clubs. It's a busy night. It's a busy, busy night. But when will you play FIFA? I will probably play FIFA on Friday. Most likely Friday night, I'll do Make United Great Again, because... Question before we actually wrap up the stream: should I do watch-alongs for the Champions League this week, guys? Is that something you lot want to see? I haven't done a lot of watch-alongs this season. Most of my watch-alongs have been Man United women's stuff, but I don't know. I need to know if you lot will come through if I do watch-alongs. I know it's like Barca, but a lot of big games this week. Of course, I don't do watch-alongs for the men's team, because you lot know UV have the rights to that, and I'm always in the chat there. But if you lot want Champions League watch-alongs, let me know. I will do it. Minna to Reckless United, they're expecting Cantona to Man United level impact. Listen, they're shit, bro. Like, I played 2 games with Reckless United, and I got no 10 behind me. And here I am talking shit about 10 goals in 4 games, guys. I'm going to get humbled. But then I can blame it on the creators behind me and say they're not finding me. But some of you lot are saying, yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to be back on Twitch as well this week as well. So we got a busy week of content. Busy week of content. So make sure you lot subscribe, so you lot don't you lot turn on your post notifications and subscribe, because you can subscribe, but if you ain't got your post notifications on, they won't let you know when I go live. But I'll be back tomorrow, inshallah, 4:30, daily dose of Minna, where we'll be talking about all things Manchester United, and I'll do a watch along. I will do a watch along tomorrow. But hit the like button on your way out, guys, and come over to Saeed's stream. I'm out. Peace.